Welcome to the Influencer Podcast, your go-to hub for influencer marketing, e-commerce, and affiliate strategies. Whether you're a brand, influencer, or entrepreneur, we bring you the latest trends, tips, and tactics to succeed in the digital world. From nano to mega influencers, affiliate marketing, and e-commerce hacks, we cover it all to help you thrive online. Follow us to uncover success stories, expert advice, and practical insights to elevate your brand. This is the Influencer Podcast, your guide to mastering influence and transforming your business. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You ready to jump into profitable items to sell on Amazon in 2025? I've got some super interesting articles and videos here, all from those Amazon sellers who are really crushing it. So yeah, let's see what we can uncover together and figure out, maybe what your next big product is going to be.
Sounds like fun. I'm ready to dive in.
Awesome. Okay, so first things first, it's November 2024 right now, and you're probably thinking, what's hot right now? What's selling like crazy? Well, our friends at AMZ Scout say Halloween costumes are big right now. Fall home decor, of course, vitamins and supplements always seem to be popular, and fitness equipment, baking supplies too.
Yeah, it's funny how those trends kind of come and go. What's a bestseller today could be totally forgotten tomorrow. It's why it's so important to, stay on top of things. Use tools like AMZ Scout for real-time analysis. Keep your finger on the pulse. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And speaking of trends, AMZ Scout mentioned that vitamin and supplement sales really spiked during back-to-school season. Makes you wonder what other kind of seasonal patterns are out there, just waiting to be discovered.
Right.
Yeah.
You got it. Finding those peaks and valleys in demand that can make or break your inventory and your strategy as a whole.
Okay, so let's say you're ready to find those winning products. Where do you even start? I mean, it's a jungle out there.
I know, right? It can be overwhelming. But AMZ Scout breaks it down into 3 steps. Define your criteria, explore ideas that fit that criteria, and then validate them. Use data to make sure they're worth pursuing. No more guessing games.
Right, so no more relying on gut feelings. We need hard data. And they mentioned their product database and PRO extension for making those data-driven decisions. I'm guessing those are pretty essential.
They're game changers, especially for researching demand, competition, and profitability. And speaking of profitability, Statista predicts that by 2025, the most profitable categories on Amazon will be beauty and personal care, home and kitchen clothing, shoes and jewelry, electronic sports and outdoors, and toys and games.
Wow, that's a pretty broad list. But I bet not every single item in those categories is a winner. How do we, how do you know which ones to go for?
That's where those criteria come in. You want to look for high demand, low competition, and a price that allows for a healthy profit margin. Somewhere between $30 and $70 is usually a good sweet spot.
So it's all about finding that balance, riding the wave of popularity without drowning in a sea of competition. Makes sense. What else should we be keeping an eye out for?
Well, profitability, of course. Aim for at least a 20% margin. And don't underestimate the impact of size and weight. Smaller, lighter items are usually cheaper and easier to ship, which can boost those profits.
Yeah, storage and shipping can really eat into your profits if you're not careful. And AMZ Scout talks about how their tools can help uncover those hidden gem niches, high demand, low competition. It's like having a secret weapon.
Totally. It's like a superpower. And once you've got some promising products, it's all about analyzing that historical performance. Look at those sales trends and think about what you can do to boost visibility. Maybe some clever promotions.
So using data to point us towards products with real potential, but how do we know if a product is the right fit? Beyond just the numbers, how do you just know?
That's a really good question. It's about long-term sustainability. Will these products still be in demand next year, or are they just a passing fad? AMZ Scout talked about different types of products: evergreen, seasonal, small and light, trending TikTok products, and branded products. Each has its own advantages and challenges.
Okay, let's break those down a bit. Evergreen products are those everyday essentials.
Right.
Like pet care supplies, reusable water bottles, basic kitchen utensils, stuff that people always need.
Yeah. Exactly. Constant demand. Then you've got those seasonal products, which are more tied to, specific times of the year. Holiday decorations, swimwear, winter sports equipment. Inventory management is key here. Yeah. Don't get stuck with a bunch of leftover stock when the season ends.
Speaking of inventory, those small and light products, they're great for keeping shipping costs down, right?
For sure, but there's a trade-off.
Yeah.
Often they have lower profit margins and sometimes even higher FBA fees. Got to weigh those pros and cons.
Right, right. Then there are those trending TikTok products, the ones that go viral and everyone suddenly wants. Remember the pink stuff, that cleaning paste? It blew up on TikTok and sales went crazy.
Yeah, the power of social media.
Yeah.
But the problem is they could disappear as quickly as they appear, so you got to be quick to capitalize on them.
So you got to be ready to pivot. You got to
Right.
move fast. What about those branded products? Those seem like a safer bet, right? Leveraging that name recognition.
They can be. Think like popular sneakers, designer handbags, the latest tech gadgets. But you're also likely to face more competition, and you might have to, deal with stricter requirements from those brands.
Okay, so lots of different product types to think about, each with its own pluses and minuses.
You got it. And to help us navigate this whole thing, we've got some awesome advice from some real Amazon pros.
This is where it gets really interesting. We've got Darren from FBA Elite and Jasmine from Jazz Hustles sharing their wisdom. They're out there in the trenches making it happen, so let's hear what they have to say.
They've got some fantastic tips for dodging those common pitfalls.
Yeah.
For example, Darren says new sellers should really avoid products with a ton of variations.
Yeah, I can see how that would just complicate things. It's best to start simple, right? Master the fundamentals first.
Exactly. And he also says to stay away from those low-value products. Anything under $20 Amazon fees can really eat into your profits. Makes it tough to make a decent return.
Okay, aim higher. Avoid that low price trap. This next one's interesting. He says even those high-demand products, the ones selling over 300 units per month, they can be a trap too. Why is that?
It comes down to inventory costs and launch expenses. High-demand products need a lot of upfront inventory. It's a big financial risk, especially when you're just starting out.
And launching into a super competitive market usually means spending more on advertising just to get noticed.
You got it. He also stressed the importance of understanding dimensional weight, which can be a silent profit killer. It's basically the amount of space your product takes up during shipping, and Amazon charges you based on whichever is larger, actual weight or dimensional weight.
So even if a product is light, it could still cost a fortune to ship if it's, bulky or oddly shaped.
You got it. And he recommends using Helium-10's X-ray to analyze a product's seasonality. Understand how demand fluctuates throughout the year, especially if there are big seasonal swings.
Smart, so you don't get caught off guard. Then he talked about some product categories that are just trickier to sell on Amazon. Things like dangerous goods, hazardous materials.
Right, those usually require extra paperwork, approvals, and all sorts of safety precautions. It's a hassle, especially for a beginner. Better to steer clear until you've got more experience.
So watch out for those red flags. What else should we avoid?
He also mentioned fad products. The ones that pop up out of nowhere and then disappear just as quickly? Remember fidget spinners?
Oh, yeah. They were everywhere and then poof, gone, just like that. It's risky to chase those fads, isn't it?
Big time. You never know how long they'll last, and the price can plummet as more sellers jump on board.
Then there are those fragile products, the ones that break easily during shipping. High return rates can really hurt your profits in your ranking on Amazon.
He also brought up those, what he called reliant products, things like clothing that are prone to sizing issues and returns. You want products that minimize those headaches.
Makes sense. Then, of course, there are topical or ingestible products with all their regulations and potential liabilities, and adult items with those advertising restrictions on Amazon Best to play it safe, especially when you're starting out.
Absolutely. You really emphasize differentiating your product. Even if you're sourcing it from a common factory, find a way to add value. Make it stand out from the crowd.
Right. Don't be a copycat. Improve the design, add some cool features, make it look better, give people a reason to choose your product.
You got it. Make it unique. Make it special.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've heard from Darren on what to avoid. Now let's see what Jasmine has to share. She's got a really interesting technique called the storefront stocking method for uncovering profitable products.
Sounds intriguing. What's the secret behind this method?
It's about using the research other successful sellers have already done. Instead of starting from scratch, you're looking over their shoulders. See what's working for them.
It's like having a mentor, but you're being a little sneaky about it. Observing their moves, learning from their successes.
Exactly. And Jasmine recommends a software called SellerAmp. It's like a virtual shopping mall where you can browse the storefronts of other Amazon sellers and get all sorts of valuable data about their products.
So we're doing some intel gathering using SellerAmp. What are we specifically looking for?
She suggests focusing on sellers who are likely doing arbitrage. So they're buying products at a discount from other retailers and then reselling them on Amazon for a profit.
Makes sense. But how can you tell if someone's doing arbitrage versus buying directly from a manufacturer?
One clue is the number of reviews. Arbitrage sellers tend to have fewer reviews because they're selling smaller quantities of a wider range of products.
So fewer reviews could be a sign we found an arbitrage seller. What else should we be looking at?
Another indicator is whether they're competing with Amazon. If they're trying to match Amazon's price on a product, they're probably getting it from a wholesale supplier.
So we want the sellers who are flying under the radar, selling stuff that Amazon isn't already dominating, finding those pockets of opportunity.
Exactly, because going head-to-head with Amazon is a tough battle.
Okay, so you've used SellerAmp to find some potential arbitrage sellers. Now what?
Time to analyze the products, right? See
We've
what
got-
they're all about. Exactly. Jasmine recommends using Keepa to examine the sales history, price fluctuations, and competition for each product. It's like a time machine for product research.
I love that. So we're peeking into the past to understand a product's journey and maybe predict its future. Awesome. But how do we know if it's actually going to be profitable?
That's where max cost comes in. It's the highest price you can pay for a product and still make a profit after all those Amazon fees. It's like a quick check to see if a product's even worth pursuing.
So a magic number that helps us make quick decisions. But how do we find products selling below that max cost?
That's where the real detective work starts.
Yeah.
Jasmine uses Google Shopping, Rakuten, and Keepa to hunt down those hidden gems.
So Google Shopping to compare prices from different retailers, Rakuten for those cashback rewards, and Keepa to track those price changes. It's a triple threat approach.
Exactly. And to save time, Jasmine says to focus on just the product picture, title, and max cost at first. That way you can quickly weed out the duds and hone in on the winners.
That's smart. Work smarter, not harder. But when you do find a product that seems promising, what then?
Then it's all about the details. Make absolutely sure the product you're finding on other websites is the exact same one listed on Amazon. No sneaky variations.
I can see why that's crucial. You don't want to end up with a bunch of unsellable inventory just because of a tiny difference.
It's a nightmare. She almost made that mistake once. She thought two products were identical, but when she zoomed in on the pictures, the packaging was slightly different.
Wow, that's a close call. Those little details matter. Don't forget to factor in all the costs, too, not just the purchase price.
You got it. Shipping, taxes, the value of your time, all that can add up and impact your profits. And of course, you need to understand the competition. Don't jump into a market that's already oversaturated.
Find your niche. Find your space.
Right. So finding those winning products on Amazon, it's a puzzle. It takes research, strategic thinking, and a willingness to learn.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning, let's talk about staying ahead of the curve in this crazy world of Amazon FBA. The landscape is always changing. Trends come and go. It's like trying to hit a moving target. How do we make sure we don't get left behind?
It's all about having a mindset of continuous learning. New tools, strategies, and opportunities are always popping up.
Couldn't agree more. A thirst for knowledge and a willingness to adapt are essential. But where do we go to quench that thirst? How do we stay informed?
The Amazon seller community is a great place to start. There are tons of forums, Facebook groups, and communities where sellers share their experiences, ask questions, and help each other out. It's invaluable.
Tapping into that collective wisdom, awesome. And there are also those YouTube channels run by experienced sellers like Darren and Jasmine. They're constantly putting out great content. You know, up-to-date information, practical advice. It's like having a direct line to a mentor.
And they're usually super responsive to questions and comments. It's a great way to learn. But staying ahead isn't just about focusing on Amazon itself. It's about paying attention to what's happening in the wider world.
That's interesting. So it's not just about the data. It's about understanding the bigger picture, the context.
Exactly. Trends on Amazon often mirror broader cultural shifts, tech advancements, and the economy. It's all connected.
So true. So how do we stay informed about those bigger trends?
Industry publications, thought leaders on social media, conferences, webinars, those are all good. But sometimes the best insights come from just observing the world around you. What are people talking about? What excites them? What problems are they trying to solve?
Everyday life can be full of inspiration. It's like finding hidden treasures in the most unexpected places.
Exactly. Staying ahead of the curve isn't just about reacting to trends. It's about anticipating them, developing a sixth sense for what's coming next, positioning yourself to take advantage of those emerging opportunities.
It's about being a trendsetter, not just a follower.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment. The beauty of Amazon FBA is that it's a relatively low-cost, low-risk way to test new ideas and see what works.
It's a playground for entrepreneurs, a place to tinker, test, and iterate your way to success.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And, Jasmine mentioned something that really resonated with me. She talked about leveraging cashback opportunities when sourcing products, like using sites like Rakuten to earn money back.
Yeah, it's like getting paid to shop. I love that idea. It made me wonder if there are other creative strategies we can use to boost our profit margins. Beyond just getting the best price on products, what else can we do?
Hmm. Well, one thing you can do is negotiate better terms with your suppliers. If you're buying in bulk, you might have some leverage to get lower prices, faster shipping, or even exclusive deals.
Building those win-win relationships where everyone benefits.
Exactly. You could also explore alternative fulfillment methods. We've talked a lot about Amazon FBA, but you can also use a third-party logistics provider or even handle fulfillment yourself.
Handling it yourself, though, that sounds like a lot of work.
It can be, but it gives you more control and could save you money on those FBA fees. It's a trade-off between convenience and cost.
So it depends on your business and how comfortable you are with handling all those logistics. What about bundling products together? Is that a good strategy?
It can be. Packaging complementary items together can create a more appealing offer for customers and potentially increase your average order value. Think about it. If you're selling kitchen utensils, you could bundle a spatula, a whisk, and a ladle together.
Create a one-stop shop. Makes sense.
Exactly. Bundles increase your average order value, which is always a good thing. And they help you stand out from the competition.
So many ways to boost profitability, from supplier negotiations to alternative fulfillment and product bundles. It's exciting to think about all the possibilities.
And remember, it's all about experimenting and finding what works best for you. What works for one seller might not work for another.
Find your own path, find your rhythm, and of course it all comes back to data-driven decision-making. Don't just guess. Use your metrics, analyze your results, and let the data guide you.
You got it. Data is your friend. Use it to navigate this ever-changing Amazon world. Okay, so we've covered a lot in this deep dive. We've looked at trends, different product types, gotten advice from the pros, and even explored online arbitrage.
We've talked about staying ahead of the curve, making those profits, and letting data be our guide. I'm feeling pretty energized right now, but before we get carried away, let's take a minute to summarize those key takeaways for our listeners. What are the essential things they should remember as they start their Amazon FBA journey?
Let's do a quick recap. First things first, successful Amazon sellers are data-driven. They use tools like AMZ Scout, Keepa, and SellerAmp to research products, analyze the market, and make smart decisions.
It's like having a roadmap to success, guiding you towards those profitable opportunities.
Absolutely. And choosing the right products is crucial. Not all products are created equal. Some are just more profitable and easier to sell than others.
Finding that sweet spot of high demand, low competition, a good profit margin, and manageable size and weight, that's the key.
Don't forget the advice from those seasoned sellers like Darren and Jasmine. Their experiences can save you a lot of headaches and help you navigate this crazy marketplace.
Yeah, I loved how they both stressed the importance of keeping things simple, especially in the beginning. Don't try to do everything at once. Focus on the fundamentals and build from there.
Solid foundations are essential. It's like building a house. You've got to start with a strong base.
Another key takeaway for me was the importance of focusing on perceived value.
Ah, yes.